friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Allie from Burlap Alley. Today I'm going to be doing a wreath using this beaded wreath frame from the Dollar Tree. These are the other supplies I'm going to be using. I purchased these florals from At Home last weekend. I want to get started by cleaning up my workspace. I want to get these ribbons, that styrofoam out of the way so that I can break apart all of my floral stems. I have a video haul from At Home that I did last weekend, and I can put that in the description box. So here I'm just breaking it apart. It's very easy to do. It's just wrapped in paper and tape and stuff. You just break it apart. So once I get them all broken apart, I'm going to clip the ends of the stems and get them ready for me. Next, I'm going to pull out my steel pick machine, and I'm going to put some picks at the ends of these florals. This way I have a way of piercing it through the styrofoam. I am so grateful for this steel pick machine. They're very expensive. I got mine for a deal. A florist in town was retiring, and they were selling everything. And I ended up buying, I believe, 3 of these, and I think I only paid like 20 bucks a piece for them. It comes in really handy when you need it. So here, it's very user-friendly too. You just put the florals into the little steel pick. You move the handle forward to get the steel pick out there. You add the florals to the steel pick, and then you take the handle and push it back to crimp it down. This will minimize movement and make it secure. I'm going to speed this up because I don't want to bore you with just images of me putting picks on the end of my florals. Okay, friends, everything's ready to go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some glue to this styrofoam, and I'm going to place it on the bead frame, and I'm actually going to use pipe cleaners. I was going to use zip ties, however, I ran out of the long ones, so I ended up using my pipe cleaners to attach it to the wreath. The glue is now dried down, and now I'm going to twist the pipe cleaners off in the back, and I'm going to clip them off and then tuck them back down into the wreath. I'm having a lot of fun with these kind of frames. Okay, now that I have that attached, I'm going to flip it over and get started with my stems, or my floral stems that I picked up from At Home, and I'm going to start layering them in. Whatever I do on one side, I try to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I am going in with the longer ones first. I want them more towards the back, and then I'll kind of stage or stagger them down as I come to the front. As I'm placing the florals into the styrofoam, I am kind of fanning them out and fluffing them up a little bit. So again, whatever I do on one side, I try to match the other side. I would like to know what all of you are working on. If you have something you're working on, take a picture and put it in my comments. I really want to see what you're working on because I'm nosy. I'm not sure what these are called, but I was playing around with the placement, and I know I want them kind of taller and staggered down. So I have a question for all of you. Is this something you would have seen in the 1980s? I feel like it would be something from the 80s. The struggle was real, folks, putting these into that styrofoam, but I made it happen. And once I got them in, I did glue them down. They're not going to go anywhere. I made sure of that. I love these textures, these colors. However, I did end up adding a pop of color. All right, now that I have those in, I wanted to flip them around and add extra glue because it was getting a little top heavy and I don't want those beads to move. And while I have that glue drying, I wanted to go ahead and cover up my mechanics in the back. So I have these leftover leaves from other projects, and I keep them in a bag next to my desk to remind me to use them. You always want to try and come up with a creative way to cover up your mechanics and use your leftovers. Okay, friends, this is what we have so far. So now I'm going to cover up my mechanics on the front. I probably should have done this in the very beginning. I just didn't think of it at the time. So I have these pins, these floral pins, and I'm going to use this piece of burlap to cover up that green styrofoam. I'm going in with my floral pins, and I'm going to use 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. I have some leftover florals from a previous project that I think are going to blend very well with these colors. Okay, so these are the florals I'm talking about. They're very fall looking. I love these colors, that navy blue and the orange. And I also like neutrals, but I felt like this beaded wreath frame needed a pop of color. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the others. I'm just going to break them apart into 4 pieces. However, I only did end up using 2 of the pieces because I didn't want to cover up the other florals that are already on the wreath frame. So here I'm just fanning them out. I just want to get them the way I want them to look because they were kind of smashed. But I just want to bring some stuff to the front, bring some stuff to the back, fan it out a little bit, and get it ready for me. And this is what I have so far. I just put one on the right side, one on the left side, and now I'm going to get ready to work on my bow. I'm going to take the help from my Easy Bow Maker because I am using several ribbons. I'm going to use 8-inch tails, put it down in the middle of those dowels, twist it in the middle, bring a loop over, get that down in the dowel, twist it as I'm going down. And this is a 4-inch loop. I'm doing 4-inch on each side. I found this in my ribbon stash and I like the texture of it, so I decided to turn this into tails. I'm not going to make loops with it, but I am going to turn it into tails. Next, I'm going in with the 1.5-inch ribbon, and it's also a neutral ribbon, and I'm staggering this one down just a hair, maybe like a 1/2 inch, maybe a 3.5-inch loop. Okay, going in with this ribbon right here, and I'm using these as tails, and I'm not going to make loops with these either. Okay, I'm going in with the last ribbon, and I am going to stagger this one down a little bit too, and I felt like the bow needed a pop of color. So I remembered I had this like burlap navy blue. So I'm just trimming that off here. Now I'm going to go in with my zip tie. I want to make sure I get all those loops in that zip tie. I'm just going to get the zip tie started. I'm not going to crank it all the way down. I just want to get it started. I'm going to use this to pull it out of the Easy Bow Maker. Once I have it out, I'm going to pull the zip tie to the back and I'm going to add a pipe cleaner. This way I have a way of attaching it. Once I have that pipe cleaner in there, I'm going to crank that zip tie all the way down, and I use a zip tie because I feel like it makes the loops pop up. It also makes for a sturdy bow. It's not going to unravel. It will not come apart. Because I can see the zip tie in the middle, I'm taking some of this blue ribbon and I'm just folding it in on itself, and I'm going to wrap it around the middle part of that bow and tie it off in the back. Another way of covering up your mechanics. Once I have it tied off in the back, I'm going to trim it up and I'm going to take the pipe cleaners and twist tie it on top of that ribbon. Next, I'm going to fluff up my bow. This is also called breaking the bow. I'm also going to trim up my tails. I'm going to give them little V cuts, except for the other 2 ribbons that I just used as tails. I'm going to leave those blunt. I thought it gave it like a rustic look. So there's my finished bow. Now I'm going to clean up my workstation. Next, I'm going to add the bow. I'm using the pipe cleaners that I have attached to that bow, and I'm going to wrap it around that green styrofoam and kind of feed it through to the back. Then I'm going to twist tie it off in the back. I did have to add another pipe cleaner to one side of my pipe cleaners because it wasn't quite long enough to make it all the way to the back. All right, we're twist tying it off right now. I'm going to trim up the pipe cleaners, and then I'm going to fluff up my bow a little bit more. I really cannot leave well enough alone. I just have to constantly be playing with the loops and the tails. Friends, this is my completed project. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up and consider subscribing.